profile, so they will have an overall better top end, but compared to these two,
HalferLand videos.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to HLP Products. So today we're going to bring a video to you that a lot of customers and a lot of people have discussed over the years, and that would be in regards to which J-Series stock cam, so 100% OEM from the factory cam, is the best. And just to do our effort, guys, we actually went full solar on our entire shop. Showing you this, pretty cool. Shows you the wattage output, the input, all that good stuff. Battery percentage, so life, and it's Bluetooth. So this is over here while the battery is way over there. We just got our LEDs up. Don't mind that thing. I still got to get chains to bring that side up, but we got our LED lights up. So our shop is 100% on solar electricity. We only hooked up 4 panels out there, but you can see we got our lights here. The battery pack is over here. I don't know if you can see it. Here it is. That's the battery pack right there. I believe it's a 3400 watt. And with the 4 panels, it charges up pretty quick. And we have, I think, 7 total. So we got 3 more out there, and we only hooked 4 up. But anyways, just wanted to show you guys real quick what's going on here. These 2 blocks down here are the round bell housing. So the J35A8, which came in the Acura TL Type S, or the 07 to 08 TLs, and then the J35Zs, so the 8th gen Accords and up. These blocks are going to go out to get CSS'd. Obviously, they need to be completely cleaned off. They have a little bit of rust in the cylinders, but that's just surface rust, not doing any type of harm whatsoever to it. So we'll get these cleaned up. We'll get that surface rust cleaned off. They've already been dial bored and checked, so they're good to go. You can see here these pans are pretty much clean, but these are dirty. These are going to get our new baffled. These are going to be the new baffled oil pans that we're going to offer. And then over here we got a couple more blocks, but this is a J35 Z8. This is going to be a customer's 800 to 1000 horsepower build that we're going to pull out and start doing pretty soon. Just waiting on a few things for that engine, but that's basically going to be pretty much a clone to our last J35 Z6 customer build that we did, which was, you know, an 800 horsepower J35 Z6 block, HLP, all HLP parts. So that's a Z8, but basically they are identical. They match. They're identical engines. So yeah, it's basically going to be another clone. As always, guys, we just want to thank you guys so much for your support. Of course, all of our customers and past customers, thank you guys. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to have grown as we have for the last, 3 to 4 years of operation. Been doubling in size each time. Obviously, we have a new shop here, and we're just gonna keep growing. We are looking for some more help because honestly, the workload is just way beyond what I can handle. Currently have 2 kind of part-time-ish guys on right now, but we are looking for a 3rd. So if you're local to the Citrus, Hernando County area in Florida, give us a email, send us an email, and we'll get back to you. But also just wanted to say, if you find anything helpful in the video, please give us a thumbs up or a like and a share, because it does help the algorithm with YouTube, and it will help grow this channel, which we will then be able to produce more J-Series content for you guys. So all right, get into the brass tacks about this stuff now. So when comparing OEM cams, all right, what we have here is a J35 A8 RL cam. So there's a J35A8 RL and there's J35A8 TL Type S. The 07 to 08 TL Type S and the 07 to 09 Acura RL. These are the 04 to 06 Acura TL 3.2, the J32A3s. And the reason why they're out here is because I want to show you guys and I want to compare some things. The one cam that I don't have present is the J37A1 Acura MDX cams. And I'll touch on those real quick, but we'll go down the line from here to here to here. And I'll explain to you what each cam is good for and why we say you're literally splitting hairs, guys. If you're gonna do the work, you're gonna take the time, the effort, and the money to pay for an OEM used cam where you're gonna pay, you know, $300 to $400 for a decent set of lightly used cams. You can pay another $200 to $300 and get our HLP stage 1s that will not require any valve spring change. Literally all it is a straight swap and then reset your valve lash as any cam swap would be. So even if you're putting in OEM cams, anytime you take a cam out and you put a new cam in, you're gonna need to reset your valve lash, guys, because obviously with OEM used cams, they're gonna wear differently, so the valve lash is gonna be different than obviously with a stage cam like our HLP stage 1 or stage 2. The valve lift is going to be different, so that's going to throw off the valve lash. So no matter what, guys, anytime you change a cam, you need to adjust the valve lash, and it needs to be cold. The engine needs to be dead cold. Hasn't ran for at least 24 hours, zero heat in it. That's when you're going to want to do a valve lash adjustment. So getting into these cams, guys. All right, like I said, we'll start down the line just to try to make it easier. These are the 07 to 09 Acura RL. So the J35A8 Acura RLs. And let me see if I can get this here for you. So that's the MDX. Here's the RL specs. So the primary and secondary are the two intake lobes that are ran for normal driving. So it's going to be these two lobes right here. This center lobe right here, the big lobe, is your VTEC lobe, and that would be the middle lobe. All right, so what you're seeing here for the J35 A8, the Acura RL, the 05 to 08, I'm sorry, is that you have 35.284 millimeters for both your primary and secondary. Obviously they need to match because that's normal operation. And then once you go into VTEC, which is usually roughly, you know, 4500 to 47, if you have a tuning system you can move it around, but you're looking at 36.445. And I must add, guys, that lift is not everything when it comes to cams. Duration and LSA, we said this in our last cam video, duration, LSA play a much larger role in a cam spec than lift does. But yes, lift does play a role as well, but really the power is going to be made within the LSA and the duration and having a decent lift. If you're trying to string out an engine and you want more top end, lift comes into play a little more then. But in regards to, you know, a normal cam, normal driving, up to 7,500, 7,600 RPM, lift and going like 20 thou difference, or I shouldn't say 20 thou, but like 10 to 15 thou difference in lift is not gonna really matter. You're talking like 3 to 5 wheel horsepower. All right, so as you can see here for the RL cams, you got for the primary and secondary, you have 35.284 on both, and then the VTEC lobe you have 36.445. all right. So moving over to J32A3, what did we say the Acura RLs were for the VTEC lobe, which is mid? You're looking at 36.445. That seems similar, doesn't it? Let's go back and check. 36.445. So your intake, your VTEC intake lobe is identical between the J32A3 and the J35A8 Acura RL cams, which everyone says is, you know, the best of the best or whatever. In regards to normal driving, let's sum it up here. If you're looking for daily driving, you know, 0 RPM to 4,000 and then roughly up to about 6,000, the RL cams are going to probably be the best for you. But in regards to VTEC, the intake VTEC lobe, or the VTEC intake lobe, the J32A3 and the J35A8, the Acura RL cams are identical. All right, they're identical. So something that needs to be taken into consideration is duration. Like I said, that we really don't have a good spec on duration. I did take the measurements, and looking at it here, it looks like the RL cams, which it should, because the specifications or the way they operate actually backs up our measurements. The RL has a little more duration on the what is that? Intake, exhaust, intake. Oh, it has a little more duration on the VTEC. So like I said, it's going to see a little more mid-range. I guess I would call it mid-range. But the top end is going to be very similar between the J32A3 and the J35A8 RLs. So if you want more daily driving aspects and more power from, you know, 2,500 up to 6,000, these RLs are definitely going to be a great option. But like I said, if you have the J32A3s and you want to rev it out, there's absolutely no sense switching your cam from a J32A3 to a J35A8 RL. It's really not going to make any difference if you're aiming for peak power, you know, 5,000 and above, or 6,000 and above. It's not going to make a difference. You're gonna lose. You're not gaining, you know, anything in the mid-range with the RL. But like I said, if you're going for just straight out up top racing and you have J32A3s, keep them in there, guys. Just keep them in there. There's no sense of paying the money. Now, the 07 to 08 Acura TL Type S cams. So the J35A8 TL Type S, where, as we said, we already established that the VTEC lobe on the J32A3 is identical to the RL at 36.445. If we move over here to the TL Type S, you have 36.394. So obviously 394 is less than 445. So the VTEC lobe on the J32A3 and the RL cams are more aggressive than the TL Type S. Now, what you want to look at here and what it will promote is these are the RL. So the exhaust. When it comes to a high-strung engine and top end, usually exhaust is going to play more of a role for top end. Same as the duration on the intake side. But as you can see here, on the RL cams, you have 36.389. And for the J32A3, so the 3.2 TL, you have 36.326, and then the TLS, you have 36.389. So the exhaust lift for the TL Type S and the RL are identical, where the VTEC intake lobe on the 3.2 and the RLs are identical. All right, so the TL Type S will see slightly more top end. And when I say slightly more, guys, again, you are splitting hairs. If you're going to do the work and you're going to take the time and the money and effort, might as well upgrade your cams to our HLP stage 1s that will gain, you know, roughly 20 to 25 wheel horsepower, where our stage 2 will gain, you know, 25 to 35. It's basically a no-brainer, guys. You're paying $200 more and you're getting way more for your bang for your buck than switching between OEM cams. All right, so as we already established, the TL Type S has more exhaust lift than the 3.2, where the 3.2 and the RL had the same intake lift. So our VTEC intake lift. The RLs are going to be a better mid-range cam. Basically, it's going to be a better all-around-ish cam, all right? The J32A3, if you have them and you're stuck with them, don't worry about switching to the RL. There's absolutely no point of switching away from these, because if you're going for top end or even mid to top end, these are going to do just fine. If you want like all top end, then I would say the TL Type S will have a little more for you. And we did measure it out. The duration is a little bigger on the intakes for here, but it's less on the exhaust. So like I said, the TL has more of an aggressive exhaust profile, duration and lift than these two cams here, where they have a more aggressive intake profile, which usually leads to better torque or mid-range. So if you want mid-range and torque drivability for daily driving, RL is going to be your best. J32A3 is just slightly behind the RLs by like 2 or 3 horsepower, guys. And then if you want the best top end, it would be the TL Type S. The one unicorn that we're leaving out here, guys, and we actually made the most power we ever have with OEM cam, is the J37A1 cams. Now, I must stress, guys, that all these cams that we're speaking about are the Gen 2 cams. So they will not fit in a Gen 1. So these J32A3s will not fit in a J32A2 engine, the 01 to 03 CL Type S, where they have multi-port exit heads, the traditional header style. These are all these Gen 2 cams are the single exit exhaust. Yeah, and they won't fit the Z or the Y or anything like that. These are specifically for the Gen 2s, which is J30A4, A5, J32A3, J35A5 through A9. That's what these cams will fit. Now, like I said, the one outlier that I want to discuss and I don't have present is the 07 to 09 MDX J37A1. Now, as you'll see here, guys, the profile is not that aggressive. Let's just stick with the VTEC lobe. You got mid. We're looking at 36.394 millimeters. And then the J32, which is the same as the RL, is 36.445. So you're looking at roughly 0.04 millimeters of difference, which is absolutely nothing, guys. I mean, nothing. All right, but why I say and why we've proved that these are the best for OEM cams is because they are hollow. The J37A1 cams have pressed on lobes, and what I mean by pressed on lobes, put my phone down. So each one of these lobes right here, and don't mind all the packing oil and lube. So this is a cam lobe right here, okay? So when we're looking at the primary and secondary, both of these operate the intake rockers. So these will open the intake under normal operations from 0 to up to 4,000 or VTEC, wherever your VTEC is. Once you hit VTEC, the intake switches over to the single VTEC lobe, which is this big boy right there, okay? And as you can see, the duration and the lift on the VTEC lobe is much bigger. That's why whenever you go into VTEC, yo, or hit VTEC, yo, that's what you're hearing. You're hearing the cam switch over from running on these to switching to this. And it just, that sound comes out, that whole. All right, now these are the exhaust lobes, and as the intake primary, these both right here operate the 2 exhaust valves per cylinder, and they will never move off of this. So unlike the intake lobes where you have primary and secondary that operate in normal operations below VTEC, and then it switches over to the single VTEC lobe, the 2 exhausts will always operate the exhaust lobe or the exhaust valves like that. They don't have anything to switch over to. All right, so getting back to the J37A1 MDX, we said it is hollow. So let me get into here. You can't really see here, but in there, these cams are solid all the way through. The core of this is solid all the way through, where the MDX, it's hollow all the way through. And what that does is it reduces the reciprocating mass within your valve train. So basically the engine is rotating over much easier, just like our HLP lightweight crank pulley. Whenever you take 7 or 8 pounds away from that one crank pulley, you gain 7 to 10 wheel horsepower because there's less mass that the engine has to rotate during the combustion, which ends up robbing power. So as I said, all these cams right here, the J30, the RL, the TL Type S, and the J32A3, they're all solid cams, all solid core all the way throughout, where the MDX is hollow. It's a hollow, basically a hollow tube, and each one of these lobes is pressed on. So during the manufacturing process, it's basically a lobe, and then they press it on, heat it, weld it, whatever the hell they do. I don't know for sure. I know it's a hot press, and they basically press on the lobes. And that's the reason why the MDX cams cannot be recut or reground. So we can't take a J37A1 cam and cut it into our HLP stage 1 or HLP stage 2s, because it's literally, there's not enough material there to rework the cam lobe. All right, guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you found anything helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe. It does help the channel, and it will help us bring you guys more J-Series content. If you want to shop our online store, just go to HondaJSeriesEngine.com. If you want to contact us, it would be contact@HondaJSeriesEngine.com. And we appreciate it, guys, and peace out. Hope you found it helpful.